Welcome everybody to another episode of the 7sins Q&A, episode 8, and we have our guest star, the site owner and notoriously famous AzzidReign.
Yo.
And we have sheepish Kankuro in the background.
Sheepish.
Don't mind him. Alright, let's get these questions on the road. Alright, first question by Guards. Why do I have to carry you in Rocket League?
All you do is carry my testicles, so it's all good.
He's asking right after, why don't you play with me anymore to carry you and your giant testicles?
Oh, man. Well, it got boring after a little while. I needed some more excitement in my life.
Need to dab some testicles on somebody else to carry around?
Yeah, like Noobert.
Ooh. Alright, and Guards' other question. Before making the site, what did you expect to achieve?
So there was nothing really in mind to achieve. It was more so I was sharing a lot of information on multiple other websites, and a lot of them got hacked, and I would lose a lot of that information. So I got sick of having to keep a backup on my computer all the time to repost on every time the other site owners would have to recreate their site. So I decided to create my own and figured when the time was up I can shut it down and be okay with it. But it's still up and running, and I don't see it shutting down anytime soon.
Alright, so moving on to government's questions. We have our first question about your pole vaulting record in high school and how your testicles ever got in the way.
Yeah, so those got in the way and hit the bar a lot of times in competition, but in comp I reached 13.6. In practice I reached, can't remember if it was 14.3 or 14.6. With a pole I ended up taking up with me to state, and on my very first jump it exploded into 4 pieces, so that kind of ruined the rest of my jumps from there. I had too much adrenaline. Too much adrenaline going through my veins, and if you're a pole vaulter, the term blowing through the pole, that's what I was doing.
Nice. Now, government's next question is, what do you plan on doing with the site in the future?
So there's a lot planned right now, and a lot of it's in the works. We've got some really cool stuff coming that we'll be detailing shortly in a newsletter we'll be sending out to the whole site. So I'll leave it to the newsletter to explain what we're doing, and then after what you see in the newsletter, we still have a few other big projects in the works.
You want to give a little tidbit to spoil just a
Spoil
little bit of
alert?
the viewers here, just so they feel appreciated?
Let's just say I can watch all my Rocket League carnage with and against Guards from the website.
Nice. Alright, and I believe a lot of the staff know this, but I can honestly understand why most members don't know, but what do you do for a living?
So, I'm a chiropractor by day and then run the site by night, is basically what it is. We're also, my wife and I are starting a new business as well, so instead of saying one thing or another, I'm just going to say entrepreneur.
Very nice. And would you ever do something like a meet and greet with your fellow sinners?
I've done that in the past with a few. To just name a few, there was Jordan, and I'm not sure how many people remember Game Beater, as he's a much older member. And anyone who remembers our old administrator, Venomous Fire. But then I've talked to Aaron and Nick. They traveled to the U.S. a few times, and we just couldn't meet up. And then Boar and I have talked about getting together, and it sounds like Gallagher wants to hitch along, and because the plan is to make some smoked chicken wings, and he wants to have a few apparently.
All right. So moving on, we have Claus. And the first question is, did you have any idea that your site would be as popular as when you first made it?
So, when I started the site, it was just to give information that so many other people out there that knew this information, they just weren't giving up. So it took me a while to really get a handle on, say, the Halo 2 modding. Prior to the Halo 2 modding, I did a lot of Halo PC modding. And then the Xbox soft modding. The information was there, but any tutorial you found online kind of left a lot of fill in the blank. So when I started it, I just want to give the information to whoever who was looking for it and make it as easy to read and follow as possible. So for me, it wasn't about popularity. It was just whoever was looking for the information, that they'd be able to use it and do with it what they were coming here for. So, short answer is no, I wasn't expecting it to become popular, but it's been a nice surprise.
And for the other two questions, sorry Claus, we kind of answered it previously, so we're going to have to skip on those.
Yep.
So, next up we have Habafro, and he's asking, why green?
So, when I first started it, we were actually called Xbox Revamped, and the site was, if you look at our dark theme, it was very similar to the dark theme, but instead of green, it was red. And then when we merged over to Se7enSins, I ended up purchasing a pre-made theme called Be Rocking, and any old member will say that it's still the best theme that we've ever had. But what I did was, I was a noob at Photoshop at the time, and found a really cool header image that had some green in it, so I started taking that green and putting it inside all the rest of the icons on the site, and ended up being, the old members' favorite. So we kind of stuck with the green theme from there on out.
All right. Now coming over to Skepta. When you retire from the site, would you be passing ownership down, or will you be selling it?
That's a good question. So if you're saying passing down to, say, like a staff member, I'm not sure how that would work, but I haven't really given much thought to selling. But if it comes down to it, I know some other members have asked about selling and how much I'd sell for. If the price is right, I'd probably let it go when I'm ready, but I'm not ready at this point. So.
All right. And is there anything that you wish you knew prior to starting Se7enSins or during?
Oh, a lot of things. The internet's, as you can say, a bad place. I ran into a lot of bad people. I got scammed quite a bit when it came to hiring people to do some things on the site at the start, trusting the wrong people. So all those are more you live and learn type things, and those are experiences I wouldn't take back. So other than that, I don't know if there's anything I wish I knew before starting the site. It's just been a fun roller coaster ride. At times there's been real low lows, and at times there's been real high highs, so it's been good.
And to finish off, what's your favorite sport to play or watch?
Favorite sport to play? That's,
Rocket League.
No. It's almost every sport. I love playing backyard football, ultimate frisbee, pickup basketball. I mean, I've played in the past baseball. I wrestled. I've done swimming. I'm not sure. Everything besides polo, almost.
In other words, don't fuck with Azzid.
Almost.
No,
Yeah, done karate. Actually, I love playing backyard games. If anyone knows ladder golf, or I guess some people call it hillbilly golf, and those from the Midwest, especially in the South, if you've ever heard of washers, we like to play washers, bags, or cornhole, whatever you want to call it. So basically, if it's competitive, I like to play it. As for watching, I'm a Chicago fan, so I enjoy watching Bulls, Hawks. Not until last year, it's been horrible watching the Cubs. And same with the Bears the last couple of years. So, but in the past few years, I haven't been able to watch many sports because of the kids. But prior to that, I was really big into watching football every Sunday, or I guess Thursday nights as well, and Monday nights. But yeah, over the last few years, when I get time, I really enjoy watching hockey.
Very nice. I didn't expect the hockey one, to be honest.
Yeah, you know, football, even basketball. So I grew up during the Jordan era, you know, living in right outside Chicago. You couldn't be a Bulls fan and living there. And so back then you would have, you know, them and Detroit Pistons, who, if you ever go back and watch old footage, it would make LeBron cry just watching it, because these guys were rough. They wouldn't get called technicals for little touches like they do now. So a lot of these sports have just become, for lack of a better word, pussified. So hockey seems to be one of the few sports that you can knock people around and people enjoy it still. So
If only rugby was more popular.
right. Yep.
Alright, moving on to dabs. Our first question is, can you grill, play Xbox, and change a diaper at the same time?
You know, that's a great question, because I've recently had to do somewhat similar to that. So it's more like having to pause and take a break from the Xbox, check on the wings or steak or burgers that are on the grill, and then hurry up, change a diaper, and then if the meat's almost done, take it off the grill. But yeah, you could say I multitask with that.
Alright. Now, what's your favorite beer and steak?
Favorite beer? I don't really drink beer. My go-to drink would be more whiskey than anything. But I do like you know, almost any hard alcohol, vodka, spiced rum, even tequila, which a lot of people shy away from. But in terms, yeah, in terms of steak, I mean, can anyone say there's a greater cut than a fillet? Medium rare or rare steak? Oh, yep, filet mignon.
All right. And you do modded lobbies?
No.
It's probably the best question we got so far.
That's my favorite one. I was waiting for that one.
Yep.
Your title doesn't, you know, say it loud enough, I guess.
Alright. Moving on to this Doge person without a profile picture. How do you feel when you beat Robert and Operation in that 2v1?
Yeah, so they called me out on Discord, acting all tough, talking trash, thinking that they were going to have it in the bag. I think I let them have a 2-0 lead just to make them feel good and get a little comfortable. So then they started getting a little cocky. They started trying to blow me up, and that's pretty much when the game was over.
I'm
hope
sure we're having
get to,
this displayed somewhere in this video.
Yeah, I sure hope we get to show that, because that comeback, I think it was what was it? I scored to tie it with just 2 seconds or 0 seconds left, and then won it from a great easy pass in OT. Thank you very much, Robert, in operation. You guys are awesome at passing.
All right, moving on to WWE. Why are there so many wannabe AzzidReigns out there?
Well, when you're not a cool kid, you want to be a cool kid, so that's that.
Got him.
Got him! Who was it, Boss Man?
Alright, how do you come up with premium memberships, and what were your original plans for premium?
Premium was more just because all the rest of the sites were doing it that I had been a part of, and I needed a way to help fund the site, the server, the cost of running things, and because when you first start a site and you have no traffic, you make no money through ads. And our very first premium member, Tinder, I believe he paid, I don't know, $25-$35 for a lifetime premium at the time.
Damn, he got a deal.
Yeah, he did.
What was that,
yeah,
like almost, 6 months?
What's that? At the beginning? Yeah, 6 months into it? Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was only like 3 months in, to be honest. Because then that let me put the money towards hosting, which we really needed. And the start of the site was kind of funny because Google did not, back when I started it, and anyone who starts sites now will not understand, but back then Google would sandbox a site. And you would have no idea when you'd come out of the sandbox. And the sandbox is basically, if you search for the site, it won't come up. So our first year, I think it was about a whole year, we were in the sandbox. And so within the first 3 months, even without being in Google, I think we reached over 2,000 members. And that was just all through word of mouth. And so once we were included in Google, we started getting a lot more traffic, which then I ended up having to go to a dedicated server around that time, which again, if you run any sort of site, you know that dedicated servers start to cost a lot more than the shared or even VPS servers.
All right. And how do you feel when people say S7 instead of 7S?
I don't know if I feel autistic or or dyslexic, so pick one.
Oh god.
Alright, moving on to Miles Tails Prower. You can never spell that right. Dyslexia.
I feel autistic now.
Alright, slide into some of the DMs on a couple of your questions, as it might throw his balls out, you never know. But we will answer your last one, which is, what is your favorite topic to venture onto the site?
So my favorite section is actually general discussion in the sub forums. I like to hang out there, see what people are saying and thinking. I like to know what's going on in members' lives and reach out to ones that are having a tough time. And then in terms of other topics, I mean, I play Call of Duty, Rocket League, but that's pretty much it. And a lot of the information in those sections I haven't really needed to look at, but I'll post a few things in there if I know something, and or if I find a nice setup saying Call of Duty, I'll post that.
All right. And moving on to Slim Shady. He's asking for a follow. I don't know if I should ban him or not.
Ban.
Ban? Alright.
But you can't ban.
I'll do it.
I will use Azzid.
That's asthmatic.
Autistically control Azzid to ban people.
This is autistic mind control, I tell you.
This podcast is so messed up now.
Man, I hope I'm not offending anyone.
Shoot, man. If you're not offending anybody, what are you doing right?
Exactly.
Alright. But the serious question, though, is, did you ever think Se7enSins was going to grow to this big of a site as of now?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned a little earlier, but yeah, short answer is no. But it's been fun the whole time seeing it grow. Talking to a lot of, the new members who do reach out to me. I'll reach out to some members, and it's. I think I mention it quite a bit in all my posts. We're a growing family, and I look at us. Yeah. All right. Now we're getting into Undercrafty's bed jokes. But...
I would say something about it being too graphic.
Only Crafty would know.
Alright, now moving on to Speedball. What do you think, out of the entire history of the site, was the toughest time?
Toughest time for the site, it had to be those first few years. Between, so when I started, if you read the history, you'll see it all. But one of the guys that helped start the site, he was a real character. Before he went off to juvie, he had stolen some source code from the most popular Halo 2 modding program at the time, which I think was .halo, and called it his own, added his own graphics to it, and that got the Halo mods community really pissed off. And from that point forward, I think there were some really upset people in that community who just DDoSed us constantly for a couple years. I don't know. But anytime you start growing, you're going to piss off people. So as we got bigger, people just wanted to either hack us or DDoS us, keep us down. We've been down for weeks at times. I think at one point a month or two at a time. So I'd say those are the toughest times, especially because I started the site while I was in undergrad school. And so I would have to be doing my studies while trying to figure out how to get the site back up when I didn't even have the knowledge to get it up. And that's where some of the scamming happened. I got scammed when I hired people to fix it. So.
And were those the times where you thought it was probably going to be the end for the site?
No, because I wasn't ready for it to be done. So I was going to find any way to get it back up.
That's good to hear. See, people, Azzid loves you.
I love you. Was that creepy?
Alright, next one on. Do you still keep in touch with any of the core members who got the site to where it is today, and who?
I keep in touch with, let's see, you probably have never heard of him, and it's hard to find him in the database because he spelled his name Cash, where the S was a $sign. I'll email him every once in a while.
Cash Money.
Yeah. But the ones that really started it, like Undead Ghoul, I don't know what happened to him. He ended up giving his gamer tag to his brother, and his brother would never talk to me. And then the Unknown 7 is probably in prison or dead now. So, yeah. Who else? At one point, I partnered with Gung Ho Guns, which, again, all these people, most of you guys will have never heard of, really. But I keep in touch with him. I keep in touch with the Pope 43, Forest Master. My memory is so poor. I still talk to Venomous Fire, so people will know who that is, or should, because he's been around for quite a while. Yeah, and then there's, Crafty's still on the site, so he's still alive and kicking, and
What's that supposed to mean?
You know,
Just
wait,
look
when
under
you
the bed and you'll find out.
when you're a part of the site for so long, because he was a part. He started this with me near the very start. He joined up because he was a part of another site, I think, as a moderator, if I remember. And the site he was a part of was attacking us, you know, just saying mean stuff about us. And he was the one that stood up and said, "Yeah, you guys need to cut it out." And then I contacted him, thanking him, and you know, we lived happily ever after that.
The end?
Yeah, the end. I'm trying to think. I know there's some other members I still talk to every once in a while, but yeah, I try to I PM a lot of them. Like if you remember me mentioning Tinder, I've messaged him within the last couple months, seeing how he's doing. His buddy H2OP who also helped us as staff on the site, but someone was able to hack his account, so I haven't been able to message him, but I let Tinder talk to him for me. So yeah, I just try to reach out when I don't see people on for too long. I'll send them a message, see how they're doing, how life's treating them.
That's a few members.
Yeah, you know, what's nice is I get to go back to the members list and scroll through it. But
It's a
yeah,
long list now.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's short if you start at number 1. You go through and look through. Usually, the retired names are ones that have more than 500 posts.
Easy peasy then. So, this is probably going to be a really hard question, but what is the best memory on this site?
What are you gonna add to that?
I was just going to say, if it's me, I understand.
Oh, God. No, I'm just kidding.
Damn, savage.
So, best memory. Let's see. For me, a lot of people know, a lot of new members don't, but I've grown out of modding ages ago. And so my best memories were when I was really helping a lot of people learn how to mod Halo 2, teaching people how to soft mod. So that's the start of the site. Even though it was also some of the hardest times, it has some of the best memories.
Right. Quite the time. Moving on to orginal, dyslexia.
Yeah, autistic original.
Oh, another follow. I'm gonna have to control you again. Ban him. And let's see. We'll just answer the third one. Would you make a sister site if you wanted to?
Sister site being another gaming site. If it's referring to another forum, no. Starting forums up now, and I'm watching a lot of the newer sites because I'm pretty active in the webmaster community, admin communities. It's just too hard to run forums nowadays. It take a lot of startup capital because you would have to do a lot of advertising to beat sites like ours or IGN or even Xbox's forums just to get a link on the first page at Google.
Yeah,
so
like some of them I've seen, their forums are completely empty.
Yeah.
Matter of fact. Yeah,
like I know one guy. He's been doing gaming forums for a while. He's kind of stupid because he keeps resetting his database because he wants to restart stuff. But even with all of his knowledge and experience, his site has, I think, 2,000 members after like 3 years. So it is pretty hard nowadays. But I did make mention I'm starting up another business with my wife. It's an e-commerce business, so not quite a sister site, but I will be doing a lot more in web businesses if this new business does well.
You can expect some of it to come back over to Se7enSins, right?
Oh, of course. This is my baby. I want this thing to beat out sites like IGN and even Xbox. When people think Xbox, I want people to think Se7enSins.
It's hard not to. I think for the longest time, we're the ones that actually had to have Xbox and all these game publishers update their content.
Oh yeah, yeah, we're forcing their hands, but too bad they have to be kind of crummy about it and ban me for just owning the site. Because I'd actually like to have relationships with these, game developers, and heck, they should be using our community to figure out their exploits to fix them before launch.
Oh yeah. In all honesty, with a lot of these game companies, they have a lot of testers that I've seen, but still, after all these fucking times, still comes out riddled with bugs.
Yeah. Well, they're now launching these games premature. Basically, they're just into these microtransactions and DLC transactions nowadays. It wasn't like that back when I first started gaming. You'd get a full, complete game, and now you're getting this half-assed, we'll update it over the course of this next year just for you to be able to enjoy the game finally. So, like thinking Call of Duty, I remember Black Ops, it took Black Ops 2, I think it was, took months before it didn't feel like you were lagging constantly. And so these game developers and these companies are just kind of, I'd go as far as calling them lazy and greedy.
Yeah. Alright, and we have Pop with the question answered by Hovey, which is nice. Is this site your only job? Because I'm pretty sure you sell crack on the street corner to underprivileged kids during the day.
Yeah, Hovey would know. He's one of those underprivileged kids.
Damn.
Oh, damn. No, I kind of answered this earlier. I'm a chiropractor and then work on the site and am working on another business, which I'll be getting to right after this interview.
All right. Now for some of Hovey's questions.
Oh, yeah.
Your testicles.
Yep.
Does the left nut hang a little bit lower than the right? And could you crack their back to even them out? Asking for a friend, just to let you know.
I know what asking for a friend means, Hovey, so if you want, we'll have to do the whole cough test to make sure your one side is hanging lower than the other. And then we'll have to crack the back and retest that, so...
Now for the rubber glove.
No, I do bare hands. Raw dog. I think his back was already cracked in that gift that we have.
Alright. And what's it like being a fair weather fan for every Chicago team?
I've been a fan since before you were born, child. Done.
Alright, is there any more dynamic RL duo than the J/T12?
So, he already answered it. It's no. We're the 1-2. We read our minds, and we start flying in the air before the ball even hits the other guy's car, and then that ball goes flying right into whoever's up in the air already, and it just magically goes in. So the answer is for sure no.
Alright, and at this point in time, what do you feel is the site's biggest strength and its biggest weaknesses?
Biggest strengths have always been the community by far. The member base is... I don't think you could match it. I don't even think you can even get close to matching it. We have some of the greatest people on our site. The attitudes and just willingness to help anyone and everyone is what makes us so great, and what really helped us launch the site. Really, back when I started the site, one of the things that I hated about being a part of all these other sites, whether I was a staff member there or a member, was the staff's attitudes. They were these pompous, I'm not going to share information because you got to go figure it out yourself types. And so I didn't want that on our site, and I let that be known when I was picking staff when I first launched, was we're here to help people. And I think by leading by example, that's helped with I guess you could say the younger members, not so much the newer members, but the ones who got the help and know the information and see that new members are looking for information. They're helping a lot of people with the same questions they had when they first joined the site. And so in regards to the biggest weaknesses, we don't have magic. I wish I could snap my fingers, wave a wand, be Harry Potter, and be like, all right, homepage done, shop done. Spoiler. I was gonna say a spoiler. I was gonna say a spoiler.
Damn. You want to say any others?
Got him. Yeah, I wish I could just be like, this is done, boom, and have it up and running, because we've got some great ideas, and these ideas are really big, complex ideas that is taking Nick a while to code, and he's getting the framework done to make it expandable to allow us to have big growth, and then if we want to modify or extend these
And streamline it.
Yeah, so yeah, so I'd say that's the biggest weakness, is we just can't snap our fingers and say something's done.
All right. So moving on to Blake, what is your average morning routine besides protein?
Average morning routine. I get up, get ready for work, leave the house. I don't do breakfast. I do intermittent fasting, and I usually skip lunch and have a decent-sized dinner. Yeah, no. So yeah, in terms of my morning, so on the days I go into the office, that's what I do. On my days off, I take the kids. We have a good morning. Let my wife rest up, because raising the two kids is rough. Not just for her, but for both of us. So we've got to be a team and raise these kids right, and make sure that we're always doing something fun for them and give each other a break.
All right, moving on to Scrubsy. First one, how much do you love me?
That's a really great question, Scrubsy.
You can just tell when it starts like that. It's going to be a good answer.
How much do I love you? I thought I've shown you enough already. This is kind of private speak, you know? Moving on.
What
Rejected.
was your favorite staff member with a username starting in Scrubs?
I can't think of one that started with Scrub. Yeah, I can't think of one.
Moving on. I'm pretty sure we've already answered the third one and the fourth one on that one too. Sorry, Scrubsy, we don't love you too much. Besides in and under Crafty's bed.
Oh yeah.
And with Alisana, what was your high school like for you?
Let's see. I'm not sure exactly what this is asking, but he's probably asking, was it easy? Was it hard? Was I a part of a clique? Any of that? For me, school was kind of hard up until about junior year of high school. That was after my parents made me get a job. This is while I was also in sports. And I saw people who were, so at the time it would have been 40 to 50, maybe a little more than 50 years older than me, working the same or similar job I am, making roughly the same pay I was. And I knew I didn't want to be in that position at that age. So I started buckling down, and what I found out, I recently took a personality test, and I came as entrepreneur. And what it says about our personalities is school is tough. We don't like the structure of school, and we don't do well until we realize it's a means to an end. So for me, it became a means to an end to get a further education, to then get a better job. And then that for me led to becoming a chiropractor. And then the rest of the high school, I mean, I played sports, so I guess you'd say I'd be considered a jock. But I wouldn't say I was a part of that jock knit clique. I enjoyed being around anyone and everyone. I had friends a part of any and every such clique. But for the most part, I just enjoyed high school, and that's when my wife and I started dating. We dated at 16.
Oh, so you're sweethearts.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So high school was good. We had a good time with high school, and we lived 20 minutes outside of town, so it was 20 minutes away from our high school. And in this area, cops wouldn't be coming out, so we would enjoy different activities out and around the lake that we lived on, and not have to worry about getting caught. So, like I said, we had a great time.
I guess that answers separately a little bit about question 2, but do you want to answer it?
Sure. When?
How was your sex life with Miss Rain?
I mean, if I explained it, I don't think anybody could handle it. So we'll put it at that.
Too good.
Dang. And we already answered number 3. Be a pretty penny.
Yep. At least I'd hope so.
And for one of our newer members, Rexio 2001, what is your first experience with computer and consoles?
My first console was the original NES, and it was playing Super Mario Brothers 1 in combo with Duck Hunt. And I always wanted what my neighbor had, and that was the one also with the track and field one with the pad, where you had to stomp on the pads to get them to run and jump and all that. So that was my first experience with a console. A little later, I kind of went retro and did Atari, and then the next console after that was the Sega Genesis.
Hey.
Then, yeah. That one was all Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic.
Hey.
Yep.
That's what's up.
That was my childhood.
Oh, there was a game that I don't think anybody has really heard of, and if you run any sort of emulator, you got to try it. It's called Booger Man.
Oh.
Have you heard of it? It is awesome. So this guy flicks boogers at his enemies to kill them, and farts on them to kill them. No joke.
Sounds right up your alley, Kankuro, if you haven't heard of it.
Oh, try it. It's a good laugh.
I just posted on Elite Trade's Twitter about a character on Booger Man, and nobody could tell me who it was. It was the first boss.
Oh, yes.
That was such a good game.
And then in terms of computer, my first game on a computer, let's see, first one I played was Doom, then Wolfenstein 3D, and Doom 2, I want to say, or there was actually a Doom Ultimate Edition. It was so I had a combo of them, and then I think I had Road Rash, NBA Jam.
I'm not hearing Quake in here. This is very upsetting.
I didn't get Quake until I was older. I can't remember when, but yeah, that was later. But I did play it on my uncle's machine. And then my parents at the time would not let me get Duke Nukem 3D. And if anyone's ever played that old school game, it's because of the he throws money at strippers part, and they literally take off their tops. And someone told my parents about it when I said I wanted the game, and they're like, hell no. So That's
The
that.
voice acting was the best for Duke Nukem.
Oh my god, your ass, your face. What the
Oh yeah.
And what was it like? I'm in the mood to kick ass and chew bubble
Yeah.
gum,
Yeah.
and I'm all out of bubble gum. Yep. Oh man, the soundtracks or the sound bites on that were awesome.